Welcome back to another client success interview. Today we have Leslie Schaller on the line, who is a PTBI student who's taken her coaching business from 0 to 15 clients. The last time I spoke, it's probably past that now. She was an in-person trainer out in New York City, moved around a little bit, was kind of in between opportunities, found PTBI, started her online coaching business. Now, about a year later, she is thriving. She's traveling. She's living her dream. So I wanted to bring her on to share her story. So Leslie, why don't you go ahead and give people a quick snapshot as to who you are, what you're up to, and what life looks like today.
Yeah, definitely. So hi, my name is Leslie. I have been a personal trainer for about 7 years now. I currently live in Boulder, Colorado, where I work fully remote and definitely have the luxury of being able to travel and go fun places with friends. And it's just so awesome to be able to have the ability to work from my computer and just bring it. So that is a true blessing. But I was working in New York City where I started Fit by Leslie and also working at Equinox full time. And at that point, I was just kind of struggling with the idea of thinking that maybe I won't be able to be a career trainer because I was getting to the point where I was training 13 to 15 people a day, an hour session. And there's only so many sessions you can do in a day. And I just got to the point where I was like, how am I going to continue to grow with my time being so restrained? So at that point, past COVID, I was doing a lot of virtual training sessions, same thing, like hour sessions, a handful. And I came across one of Zakk's ads and I started looking into PTBI. And I was definitely skeptical. You see a lot of things online. Zakk, you know how I was. I literally interviewed all of your students before finally deciding to join. And it truly was just the best decision I could have ever made for my business because you just gave me this gift of having a blueprint and answering so many of my questions when it came to fully diving in to Fit by Leslie. And it allowed me to really be able to manage 25 to 30 clients in a fraction of the time that I was managing 12 to 15. And it's just what a blessing. I just can continue to grow while being able to free up more time for myself. And I'm showing up better as a coach because I can give myself what I need and fill up my own cup and not be totally exhausted. And it's just been amazing for me. So the best decision I could have ever made for my career.
I love that. There's something that you said that I want to dive into. You said that you were wondering how you could possibly sustain yourself as a career trainer. And based on what I'm hearing, it sounds like you've pretty much climbed to the top of your potential as a career personal trainer. What does that look like? What is the upper threshold of a career personal trainer look like? What's the day-to-day look like? And what were you feeling on the inside? Because I'm assuming that you're probably feeling burnt out, wondering, God, how do I get out of this? So give us a little insight into what that was like.
Definitely. I mean, it just got to the point where I was loving what I was doing, being able to help my clients reach their goals. And I'm so sociable that I got to know all my clients on a very personal level and I loved it. But after client 6 of an hour-long session and not really having breaks in there, I just kind of felt my spark fade a little. And then I felt guilty because I couldn't show up as well as I knew that I could because I was so burnt out. And other trainers know how it is in gyms, right? You get a fraction of what the gym is making off of a personal training session. And even though I was working up at Equinox to the highest level, I was full-time, I was reaching all my bonuses, I was a personal training mentor. I just got to the point where I was either I have to continue with 12 to 15 hour days to make an okay living, but not where my goal was, or I'm going to have to switch careers. And that was really devastating for me. And then I discovered PTBI and that no longer came something that I had to go back and forth with.
How long were you in that space for in Equinox? How long did it take you to get to the top? And typically, what's the lifespan of a trainer at that level? Do you see trainers lasting 15, 20, 30 years in that position, or do you see the churn rate pretty short?
Yeah, I mean, the turnover rate was pretty high, but then you had this handful of trainers that had been there for 15 plus years, but they had the schedule that was really draining me. And they were older than I am. So I'm how are they sustaining this? It was just 10 plus hour days.
Wow.
And really, really showing up when the gym opens at 5:30 and staying until 7 and going above and beyond what they were getting paid to just to manage the expectations of all their clients and then managers. I saw it, but I always questioned how are they doing this? And it was never something that I thought would be sustainable for myself long term.
Yeah. And then also too, you look into the lives of what their personal lives are at home and it's in shambles. There's no personal life.
Right. 100%. So yeah, it was kind of tough to see.
It is soul crushing. Yeah. I always used to say that personal trainers are the most vibrant. They want to help people. And then they get into the personal training space and absolutely get crushed and abused and used. Yeah, and then also I know the income earning potential for the amount of work that you put in, it doesn't match one-to-ones. It's not scalable at all.
And then even when I kind of started to back away from Equinox, Equinox and go into Fit by Leslie when I was doing in-person and online coaching, I still ran into the same issues of like, okay, again, there's only so many sessions I can do in a day. Then you add travel time when you're not working out of one space. So I was no longer at Equinox all the time, and I had to like building hop, which was fun in the city, but still like 3 people there, travel across the city, 5 people here, travel across the city, like 3 people here. Before I know it, it's 8 p.m. I have to go do the same thing, 6 a.m. all over again.
It almost takes the fun out of your own training too.
I didn't have time to train.
You know what? You know what's so funny is that you always walk into these commercial gyms and you're like, these personal trainers, they're not even in shape themselves. It's probably because they don't have time to train.
100%. Like if I got to do a demo for a client, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to get my reps in now.
That's so funny. Oh, and also one other thing I wanted to point to. I remember thinking that as a client of a personal trainer, the best hour to be trained is first in the morning before their brain goes to shit by the afternoon.
100%. I would roll in at 6 a.m. and be like, let's go. And then my poor like 4 p.m. I was like, hey, how you doing?
That's so funny. So what inspired you to start Fit by Leslie? How did you make that gap? And what was it at first? Because I know you were doing virtual sessions. A lot of people assume online coaching is, oh, I'll just train you via Zoom. But let's talk about why that structure wasn't exactly scalable.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing, like the amount of sessions I was able to do in a day, realistically thinking, okay, if I want to maintain my career, I either have to charge more per session, hire someone to work under me, and which was an option, but I still kind of was wanting it for myself. I just like wasn't there yet. Like I just wasn't ready to hire someone. But what inspired me to really start Fit by Leslie is I just do so much more than personal training. I love to focus on mindset and sustainability, especially. And I felt like I couldn't work within the framework of companies' expectations. And I wasn't allowed to, or was frowned upon to become very close with my clients. And if I would go and like grab a drink with one of my clients or grab dinner with one of them and my manager found out, it would be like, oh, you're not supposed to see people outside the gym. Like I just felt confined with like what I wanted my client experience to be and how much I wanted to help people, and that I couldn't do it within that space.
And what does your client experience look like now?
I mean, my client experience really looks like them having the tools to not only focus on like the training goals, but also have the tools to focus on the mindset behind what it means to be fit, what it means to live in a healthy body and have gratitude for that. And also recognizing that like quick fixes aren't ever it, and that it takes like a whole habit forming process and change. And that can't happen in just a training session twice a week at the gym. You know, it requires a lot more like individual attention and inner work, which is my passion.
I love that. So what was your transition like having your online coaching business, you know, doing your virtual sessions to switching over to the PTBI model, which is more of the check-in and assessment version, and also, you know, the programming side of things? Was that a difficult transition for you? Did it come easy for you? What was that like?
I mean, I definitely hit it hard. Like when I got the curriculum, I wanted to absorb all that information as quick as possible. And that was to my benefit because I didn't want to drag it and make that transition more difficult. But it was really interesting. I was really nervous about the client experience because initially my perception was that if I'm not showing face with them for an hour at a time, multiple times per week, like 2 to 3 times per week, then they weren't going to be as satisfied with the work. And it was really the opposite of that. Like because I was almost letting go a little bit and still empowering them with all the knowledge and the tools and the form checks and the tutorials and the videos and the structure, I was going more hands off, but it allowed them to learn more throughout the way and to come back with me with really in-depth specific questions. But I just found that they were more empowered to do it without me, and that they were able to recognize that they don't need me to be there for the hour to take control of their own fitness. And that was probably like the biggest takeaway from my client experience. But the overall transition was, it definitely took like a lot of time and focus to just build all the systems and build the background and absorb and retain the information in the way that you taught it. Like I didn't want to take any shortcuts. Once I really gathered the system and learned how to implement all the processes and recognize that the client experience was better, even if I was more hands off, that just opened the door for me because I was like, wow, I can manage a huge group of people that I never thought I'd be able to manage at once and still not feel like extremely overwhelmed or stressed. And that was just like a really cool thing for me to go through, was like spending less individual time with people, but making bigger impacts with more people. And that was just a massive takeaway. I was not expecting that to happen.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that is such a big limiting belief that personal trainers have around online coaching, is that, oh, if I'm not with them in the gym, then they're not going to get any value because the value comes from being with them in the gym. It's like some people need your help in the gym to count the reps, like a very small demographic of people, but most people don't need that. Most people just need structure, they need guidance, and they need accountability. And you don't need to be in the gym with them to provide those things.
I was just going to add to that. Like, and it was a blessing for them at the end of the day because they recognized that they can do it. Like, they don't need me to literally hold their hand shoulder and shoulder, like onto the gym floor for them to reach their goals. And that was really amazing for me to see because I just had so many clients that like physically needed me there as a limiting belief in order for them to show up for themselves.
I love that. So you've been in the program for over a year. I think you signed up last year around this time. And so at what point during the year did it click for you and when you realized like, oh shit, I'm doing it?
Probably like 6 months in, where I was like, all right, I have most of my back end down. Like I can really dive in on the marketing aspect and building off of the foundation that I've built. And that was kind of the first time that I saw that, okay, I can manage more people than I ever thought I could.
What advice would you give someone who is thinking they're a personal trainer, they're in the gym, they're working, 12, 13-hour days, they're thinking about online coaching, but they're skeptical, they have those limiting beliefs, they're wondering, is this even possible? Is it real? Is it a scam? Blah, blah, blah. What would you say to them?
I mean, take it from someone who is like so aware and I like screamed so hard on PTBI. Like, Zakk, like we had been on like 8 phone calls.
Just to give you guys some context, I was on my last call with Leslie and I was like, it's either she signs or the door closes and I don't even care. Like, I don't even care anymore. She's either going to sign or it makes no difference to me. And,
100%.
thankfully you signed because you've honestly been such a great, like fantastic person in the community. Like PTBI would not be the same without you. Also with Lily too, you guys together have just been absolutely incredible. So I'm super grateful for you.
Thank you, Zakk. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being so patient with me because I know that I was just like dragging you from call to call, like the biggest skeptic ever. And I think it's important to screen it, but this program is 100% legit. And if you're living that personal training life in person and doing like what I was doing, just like countless hours in the gym, feeling underpaid, undervalued, like burnt out, my biggest advice to you would just be like, understand the reasons and get really clear on the reasons why you wanted to be a coach. And don't let like the hustle get in the way of your passion for why you initially wanted to help people. And know that you can still have a thriving, successful business and not be burnt out. It just takes like looking past the box and looking past the framework and understanding that we have all this amazing technology and all these new advances with systems that we can leverage and utilize. And you can get back to like shining through your passion and your authenticity for your clients instead of like showing up like half dead, lights on, no one's home. And it is possible because I didn't really recognize that it was possible until I'd already committed, finished all the work, was 6 months in, and that really clicked for me. It was like, wow, I can lead with my passion still, and I can do this as a career still, which is something I didn't question a lot before PTBI.
I love that. Let's switch gears here. What's it like being a business owner? What's it like working for yourself?
So awesome.
Did you ever think this was possible? Like, say a year ago, obviously you joined the program with that goal in mind, but does it live up to the expectation? Is it better? Is it worse?
Like, don't even know where to start with it because I knew that I wanted it and I knew that I was going to get there. I just literally had no idea where to start. And I didn't know like what to put at the top of my priorities list. It was like, okay, it's top priority in LLC. It's top priority, like getting a contract. Like I just had no clue, truthfully, but I knew that I wanted it. And you came in and just laid it all out there, like step 1, 2, 3 to the 100. And I was like, praise God. But ever since I really dove into it, it came with so much joy, but also a lot of growth for me, which I'm so grateful for. But I had to overcome the limiting beliefs around, can I do this? Am I worthy enough? Do I have the knowledge? Do I have the capacity? And I had to get over all those like icky questions in my brain, but I flourished through it. And I have so much more self-confidence and so much more esteem because I really dove into those limiting beliefs. And now I have like a passion to just thrive even more, but also like encourage other coaches in the space because it is possible. And it's been like such an amazing journey of growth for me. And like knowing that it is possible has just like really changed my outlook on life and time and freedom and responsibility and priority.
That's the American dream, still alive and well.
100%.
So something I always tell people too, like you say it took you 6 months. I always say it will take you 30 days to set up your system and learn the process. It takes you 6 months to get your own shit out of the way so you can actually execute. That's typically what I say.
Yeah, and it still comes up. But the great thing is like now I have this community in PTBI and all your amazing coaches as part of PTBI that I can go to if I'm feeling like those limiting beliefs are creeping up. It's not here's the program and then take it how you will and like peace out. You have continued to build like a support team for all of us, even like 1 year in and then like 5 years in, and then we have takeover. Like the community lives on, and everyone in PTBI has gone through what I have at some point or another, and I can lean on them for that. And what a gift. Like I never knew that I've been so validated by the whole experience and
I
by
love
the
that. So you used to work 12, 13 hours a day, be absolutely burnt out, and then your head hits the pillow and then the alarm clock goes off and you got to do it again. What does your typical day look like now?
Definitely not that. Thank God. I mean, my typical day looks like I wake up, jump on my computer, do client check-ins, make sure everyone's good, make sure that
What time do you wake up?
7:38.
Okay, much better than 5 a.m.
Oh my God, 4:30.
Yeah.
Because it's like you got to get to the gym, especially in the city. You got to like travel there. 4:35, like 8 a.m. feels like a sleeping in dream. So yeah, like 7:38, jump on my computer, check in with all my clients, make sure that no one like missed a workout from the day before so I can like be on their ass and follow up with them. And then I definitely take time for myself in the morning. I do my morning routine. I take my dog for a longer walk than I ever thought I'd be able to, right? Like we do 3 laps, not like quick to the curb and back in. Have my coffee, enjoy, and then I'm back on my computer doing marketing tools, content, managing my clients, building out programs, figuring out how I can optimize my system even better. And it's just like all on my own terms. Yeah.
Sounds like a dream. And even the work, I always say, like, when you're building your business and you're building onto your business, it is fun to be doing all those things. It's fun to be jumping on client calls with clients. Eventually you get to a point to where it's fun to be taking sales calls. At first it's not very fun, but at first eventually you get to a point to where you look forward to it.
Yeah, it's like a challenge a little bit. Or like you get on a call with like a Ryan and they're like, okay,
Yes.
how far are we going to take this? What
Yes.
objective are you going to throw at me next? And how can I ever
Yes.
totally.
I love it. And I know you just took a vacation here soon. Did you work on the vacation? Were you unplugged? What was that like?
Yeah, so I recently went to LA to visit some of my friends, and
I think you went to Mexico too, no?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. That's right.
Tropical nonetheless. Yeah, so in Costa Rica and LA, I was still working, but I had kind of pulled back a little bit, but I max was probably putting in like 1 to 2 hours a day.
It's still great. It's still fantastic. But to be able to have the freedom to be able to go to Costa Rica or go to LA when you want to, and you know you could bring your work with you is really fantastic.
100%. And my friends were also like working while we were in LA. And I would be like, okay, I'm going to lock in and grind for like this next 90 minutes and then close my computer and like make a coffee. And they're still like grinding. And I'd be like, I feel bad. And like I felt guilty because they're in that corporate life.
I love it. So 2022 was the year that you shifted, you transitioned. So you had a good restart and you spent that year getting set up. Now you're going into 2023. All of your systems are in place. You have a brand new identity. It's a new version of you. So what's the plan for this year? What are the goals?
Yeah, I would say that my plans are just going to be continue to grow and scale and feel really confident in the system that I built, really confident in my ability as a coach and as a leader. Like I really want to just continue to empower people. It's my biggest mission and keep going off of that. I would just say scale and grow and feel really solid with the confidence that I've built in the system and in myself.
I love that. Where can people find you online?
Fitbyleslie.com and then Instagram fit.by.leslie.
Awesome. Leslie, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Zakk, you're the best. Thank you. Thank you for everything.